There's always a huge sense of achievement coming to the end of a coastline.
The lap around Australia continues. We're heading further and further south.
But with the end of one, we stare down the barrel of another huge stretch of unfamiliar coast and waters.
This is the last stretch of the Indian Ocean before we turn the corner into the Southern Ocean,
which may be the most treacherous yet. But then again, this coast has been nothing but gruelling.
This was the toughest it's been to juggle the YouTube, the uni, and the intensity of this Western Australian ocean.
The Wild West has truly tested our skills and pushed us to breaking point.
Drenched from head to toe. Things breaking. We didn't have an engine. Morning! Hey guys, handling this really well. I don't know if the camera would be able to return the favour. Horrendous sea state, 6 metre waves.
These are moments that are truly testing.
The hardest sailing we've ever done before. Feels like nowhere's sacred.
Yes, it's been tough, but it's also been...
Oh my God, swimming! Yeah, first time. So we've heard there's some pretty ginormous radioactive lobsters here. Woo!
What a season it's been.
We have returned successfully. Really happy with this. Good company, good food. Frothing.
But it's not over just yet.
Can you touch the bottom?
Yeah, it's about...
One swim in depth.
It's about 6 foot.
6 foot. This week we're plunging into the last stretch of Australia's western coastline and sailing to our turning point into the Southern Ocean.
So, where are we? Hamlin Bay.
Which hosts some great diving and friendly stingrays.
Look how big they are!
We're also joined by a friend who shows us something a little different.
Is this the most interesting spot you've made jewellery?
Yeah, I'd say so.
But it kicks off at Canal Rocks, a glorious oceanside anchorage with waters that have drawn us in for a swim before we say farewell and move on. We're exploring these shallows which present us with small crevices to poke our head into and spy the odd small fish or car tyre.
Yeah, the car tyre.
The waters down here are brisk, which is refreshing when the sun is shining. But as soon as a cloud shades us, we're quick to get out.
We are packing up camp, getting ready for a really early start tomorrow morning. But yeah, what are we gonna aim to leave here at 4 in the morning? Should aim to leave at 3 and we might leave at 4, but we'll see what happens. But we kind of need to get to this next place before some crappy wind comes in, so it's in our best interest to leave at 4, and if we don't manage to pull it off, we'll only be letting ourselves down. Just like if you cheat in an exam, which we never do.
Packing up camp for an early morning start includes lifting our outboard, which is a technical process of juggling pulleys, and flipping the tender onto the foredeck.
She's really heavy!
And because we still have to sleep, this typically involves one of Slim and I's greatest debates of how high the tender should be lifted for optimal airflow into our cabin.
This is what you call having airflow. See, now we can open our hatch and Simon can be refreshed all night long and I can be freezing cold. Alright, one tender lifted, one hatch can still be opened, and that's what you do when you're leaving in the early morning tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow we'll be making the 35-mile jump to Hamlin Bay. Although not far, as Slim said, we want to get in before a strong southerly builds by the early afternoon. So it's an early night for us.
Yeah, we'll see you in the morning for an early start. Very early start. So we'll see you then. Good morning. It's about 4:30 in the morning. We still haven't left yet. We should be leaving. It's quite dark still. Making a coffee, getting ready.
I'm up too. Everyone's up. Chili's gone away.
She's just there.
Oh, she back out. That's my say, look at. Almost ready. Right. Keep getting ready.
Well, we can only attempt to leave when we intended to. Let's just say we left exactly at the right time to have a race with one of our Anchorage neighbours.
We were first ones out this morning, but I don't think we'll be first ones in, but we'll give it a red hot crack. This cat behind us looks pretty catamaran-y and stealthy and fast. But, you know, we're on knackers, so anything's possible.
It certainly is, Ron.
And then you do the cheesy winch.
So the lap around Australia continues. We're heading further and further south. This is the last stretch of the Indian Ocean before we turn the corner into the Southern Ocean. So, you know, really lapping our last moments up in the Indian Ocean because it's been an absolute blast.
What, blasting our heads off? It's been blasting our heads off. It's been blasting our minds, our brains, our bank accounts, the boat. I'm ready for the Southern Ocean. No, I shouldn't have said that. It's just been hectic.
Today, on our last little Indian Ocean journey, we're heading to Hamlin Bay, about 35 miles from Canal Rocks.
We are just going to shake this reef out real quick. We're not doing the 5 knots of joy we're hoping for.
So it may have been because the catamaran was catching us and beginning to take the lead that we've sprung into action, shaking out the reef.
We've shaken the reef out hoping to get back up to the mythical 5 knots, but we're now doing 2 knots. The cat's overtaking us too, which is even more frustrating.
We watched the catamaran slip away, giving up all hope on our race, and we wallowed around while the sun climbed higher into the sky. But the wallowing didn't last long.
The wind has come back in now. We're going along quite nicely. We've got about 14, 15 knots. Cruising along, making our course, which is even better. It's nice out here, nice morning.
The wind soon picked up to a point where we now needed to put some sail away. The Wild West is continuing to do an excellent job of keeping us on our toes.
Reef in, reef out. It's like either 10 knots or 25 knots. Makes it a little bit tricky to sail as you're either wallowing around or got way too much sail out. So yeah, basically got to reef in the main, but just, you know, heading in and out as the wind eases and picks up again. Alright, a little bit more head sailing. Just getting strong gusts.
It feels like it's just all or nothing a lot of the time in WA at the moment. We're back down to doing like 10, 12 knots and like cruising along at 4 knots. It's not so bad, but it's funny. It's just like lots of changing, lots of like really big gusts and then super chilled calmness. But we're getting used to it at least.
This stretch of coastline is far more beautiful than we ever imagined.
We're not too far from Hamlin now, only about 4 miles out. can see breakers on the rocks. So we just have to make sure we avoid hitting those. And it's a nice coastline along here.
Currently, we are sailing around Australia, checking out every little nook and cranny of our beautiful home country's coastline. However, we do dream of going international again, like we did before we embarked on this adventure. We have been full-time traveling for the last 4 years now, but something you may not know about us is despite all of our adventures down under, we've actually never been overseas together. There is something so special about experiencing different cultures and being immersed in foreign languages. And we can't wait to experience that with each other. However, there is one thing neither of us misses about international travel, and that is being stuck somewhere without any means of communication and having to hike around trying to buy an expensive SIM card for a country you may only be in for a day or two. Especially when you first arrive somewhere and you're trying to get yourself sorted and find your way in a foreign place. Sometimes the simple things like having a working phone and a data connection can make all of the difference. So we are excited to introduce Saily, the sponsor of this week's video. Saily is an eSIM app where you can choose several affordable eSIM plans in over 160 countries. With a Saily eSIM, you'll always have internet connection wherever you travel. Saily works by choosing a country and purchasing a plan, then installing the app and activating your plan before you leave, so that when you arrive in your new destination, you'll be immediately connected to the local network without any need of an internet connection or having to run around and find a SIM card for that country. So using a Saily eSIM will save you time finding a SIM card and also minimize roaming fees. Saily even offer 24/7 support if you need help with anything and a full refund if for some reason your phone isn't compatible with an eSIM. So if you're planning an overseas trip or you are already overseas and struggling to manage connections, you can try out Saily and get an exclusive 15% off at saily.com/slimsoph or use our code slimsoph, or you can just simply scan this QR code on screen here. We know we'll be using a Saily eSIM when we finally get overseas and do a trip together, which looks to be when Slim flies over to meet my mum and I as we come in after doing the Melbourne to Osaka race. So thank you, Saily, for such a useful service and for supporting this channel. And let's get back into it.
Solid break.
This place is looking pretty cool on approach. We're hoping it presents some cool diving opportunities too, but it looks more protected than what we initially thought. Could be a nice place to spend a few days.
Hamlin Bay is a picturesque anchorage just north of Cape Lewin. It's scattered with islands and rocks that present us with some promising diving.
Radio, gonna get straight into it. It's a little bit windy, but I think it's just gonna get windier and windier. So we're gonna take this less windy opportunity and go for a dive, check out some of these islands, rocks, whatnot. Looks pretty cool. Got our full wetsuits on because it's a bit chillier today.
Pretty keen to get into it before the wind gets up, so let's start doing the old Nakama shuffle. You want to start handing me some things?
Okay. This is a pretty cool little island. Yeah, some cool little ledgy things, cool little rock pools, nice rocks. Look at this, it's a beautiful rock right there. Look at that rock. A couple more rocks over here. Beautiful birds. Yeah, this is nice. We're nice and protected from the wind. Let's get in the water. Oh. Oh, it's already pretty cold, eh?
It's spicy here.
Yeah, you can definitely feel that the Southern Ocean is literally on the other side of these rocks. Alright.
I reckon this might be the last time I wear this wetty.
I know.
That's spicy.
We need to up our wetsuits. This is a 3 mil. I think we're gonna need the 5 mil. Look at that swim through. That's awesome.
It's an underwater maze of rock structures, perfect for housing crayfish. Slim's been on a mission to find a crayfish since the Abrolhos Islands, which are now about 440 nautical miles back. As this ground is exactly what you'd typically find a crayfish thriving in, we're wondering whether they've begun their migration, where most crays head west into deeper waters and resettle in a deep reef, sometimes 100 or more kilometres away, and in water up to 100 metres deep. So, with no luck sighting any crays and the water beginning to turn murky, we decide to head to the beach for a dip. Without any weights on, we're incredibly buoyant. As we hang just off the beach, we observe just how many people are here.
It's crazy how busy this is. We kind of thought we were getting a bit more secluded,
I thought we were going to be more remote finally.
Nah.
Having road access, it's no wonder that Hamlin Bay is a popular spot, with white beaches, spectacular cliffs, and turquoise waters. But it's not only popular with humans. We've dried ourselves off and come back to the beach to check out ashore, and to our surprise, stingrays roam the shoreline.
Whoa, look how big they are!
These guys are not shy at all to come up to you.
Wow, what are you doing, bro?
These rays seem to have neglected the food chain and have come straight to a reliable source, a bay with a boat ramp in which fisher people discard their scraps.
We definitely weren't expecting to see stingrays. Wow, pretty crazy. They must definitely get fed here. Oh my god. They definitely get fed. They want food, eh?
I want something.
However, being a populated spot doesn't only mean the stingrays get well fed, but so do we.
$6.50 for some beans.
At an expensive price point.
So they did have ice cream. And they were only $5 each.
That's pretty good.
It's not too bad, considering a can of beans was $6.50. And ice cream at $5 is not too bad.
You don't have to refrigerate the beans.
We need to leave this bay, hey? Otherwise we're going to be spending
At least $10 a day.
That's a good way to end a sail and a swim.
It's nice to enjoy some small luxuries of civilization.
Oh, ice cream just makes me so happy.
And while we're also enjoying Hamlin Bay, there is an underlying feeling of apprehension towards what's to come for us. Sometimes the hardest part of doing an adventure like this are the days waiting anxiously for your departure. I feel really anxious for what's awaiting us around this corner. It's not the right time of season. It's blowing easterly almost every single day. So to take our minds off what's waiting for us around this next corner, and while the weather is still unfavourable to depart, we have something exciting on today.
Righto, we've just woken up. We've just woken up in so where are we? Hamlin Bay. A mate that we've been hanging out with in Bustleton is coming to hang out with us here today. We do have land friends, sort of, and our mate's a jeweler, so he's going to teach us a really cool technique. So I think we're on the hunt for some cuttlefish, and you'll see what that's all about later.
Zach is originally from our hometown, but has recently moved to the area and does some incredible work hand forging bespoke jewellery. I'll leave a link to his site in the description below. It's seriously worth checking out. He does some really magical work. But anywho, he's made use of that road into the anchorage to meet us and show us a technique for making a particular style of ring. So yes, today we are going to be silversmithing. But in order to get started, we need to find washed up cuttlebone. So our first place to look is Hamlin Island.
What are you doing?
Telling Zach that I mistook these seagulls for albatross once upon a time.
Oh yeah.
Slim and I back in the day did a silversmithing course, making the rings we wear today. We really enjoyed it, so we're super excited to play around with some silver today, learning a new technique with Zach.
So we come around to this side, to the windward side of the island, to search for some cuttlefish, but it appears there's no real beach to land on. It's just kind of got fringing reef all around it. But Zach says he knows of a beach where we might be able to find some, and it's all part of the bigger picture. We've got to do a little bit of foraging before we can do some foraging this morning.
So we have to go a little further afield, which is not a bad thing because it leads us to finding one of Australia's largest flightless birds.
Alright, we're piling into Zach's car. We're gonna go for a little drive, check out some forest, I believe. We're gonna need to find some cuttlefish for this jewellery. Jewellery. I can never say that word properly, it's always been a thing. And start making some silver. That's pretty cool, eh?
Yeah, setting up beachside silversmith. Pretty excited about that. Here's Zach now. Has Zach met the camera? Jump out the window then.
Emus! Are they actually emus?
Yeah.
Wait. Hello.
You can jump out if you want, I can swing back and get you.
There's like a full flock of them.
How amazing to sight an emu mum and her chicks. After ostriches, emus are the second largest bird in the world. While emus are flightless, they can get to amazing speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour on their legs, which is 31 miles an hour or almost 27 knots.
Those little kids in that car that just went past us with like open mouth, like whoa!
Dude,
Kind of like
how
mine.
we were.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Dude,
That's
emus
sick.
on the road, wow. Lucky emus.
Sailing along this coastline, this was our view. From ashore, we're inspired by a whole new perspective.
I think so far highlight emus. Also like about as many emus as I've seen in my entire life as an Australian living in Australia on like the side of the road. Normally you see like one here or there, but that was pretty impressive.
Full
Just
fam.
Whole family.
Alright,
Right,
let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Get into it.
All these little lines, so it's made up of all these like little layers, and you can just carve it really easy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
really beautiful. Beautiful stretch of coastline with these amazing cliffs. Like, look at that. That's so impressive. In trying to find the perfect spot to set up our silversmithing camp, Zach has shown us some spectacular sights that we otherwise would have missed. But after lots of bumpy driving, I think we've found
the perfect spot. If you're ever looking for the perfect spot, this is it.
Is this the most interesting spot you've made jewellery?
Yeah, I'd say so. How's the view though?
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Stunning.
So this is where the cuttlefish bone comes into play. Wow, they're really
Really soft.
soft.
Nice and dry too. You just want them to match up really well.
Yeah.
This cuttle bone is going to act as a mould for the silver.
You can see the lines start forming it.
Oh wow.
Really pretty.
That looks filth.
These are cuttlefish shells for casting rings. A calcium crystal, technically, the bone of the cuttlefish. It's like a beautiful colour change squid. And it's really light and buoyant, which is what keeps the squid afloat. But because it's made of all these thin little beautiful layers, lots of air can flow through it. So for casting it's really cool because it can handle the temperature with the calcium of molten gold, molten silver, and when you cast molten metal into it, it will cool before it destroys the shell. So you can only use them once. It just smells like fish and looks all black at the end of it, but you'll end up with a ring or a casting that's like beautiful shape, and you get all the lines, the natural lines of the cuttlefish. Looks like seashore. Yeah, we'll carve out a cavity by hand in the shape of a ring, carve in a little funnel. The reason we use the cuttlefish is it's really soft, easy to carve, but does take a casting really well. So we'll carve it out and then pour the metal in. That's the carving, but because we did the lines, now I can kind of like line them up. And then I just use a little bit of steel wire to hold it together.
So now that we've made the mould, it's time to melt some silver.
Just gonna need a little bit more.
Who would have thought that watching solid metal turn to liquid would be such an incredibly mesmerising process? Oh, it does smell like fish, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely smells like fish. All right. There's your ring.
Ooh,
Wow.
that is so sick.
Very hot. I might grab the water.
That looks super cool.
So it's basically as easy as that, and the ring is pretty much done, but it just needs a little bit of cleaning up.
File this bit down here, and then brush it. I got a brass brush which will like polish it and clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then just file down the inside a tiny little bit, and it's pretty much as easy as that.
Alright, Zach showed us how the pros do it. If we can get a nice circle shaped thing out of silver, we'll be frothing. But that was pretty fun to watch. Pretty keen to give it a try.
Put on its edge a little bit and flatten it. And just be careful not to go too deep. Yeah, this shell's a bit different. It's got the pattern's really clear. You'll see it cool in a second.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, ready?
Big reveal.
Oh, how's the tails coming up? That's cool.
Yeah, that's like cool enough to touch now. Just trippy, hey.
It's always nice to catch up with friends after we've been away for so long. Catching up with mates has this strange ability to make a foreign place feel like home. Slim and Zach have been wanting to catch up to make jewellery for years now, and it was so special to make this happen here. But it is time to head back to Hamlin Bay, where Nakama patiently sits on anchor for us. And hopefully this time our tender hasn't floated away.
Cheers, Abby.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you soon. There you go, that's how you make a couple of
Silver rings.
Rings out of cuttlefish. I'm so keen for a swim. Tender, tender, tender. No. Oh, PTSD. Well guys, I think that brings us to the end of our 4th season, the Wild West. We want to say a huge thank you to those of you that have joined us this season, and a massive shout out to those of you that have been following our entire circumnavigation so far. We truly do appreciate you joining us and always leaving behind your kind comments. And of course, a huge thank you and shout out to our patrons. This show wouldn't be possible without you, so thank you so much guys for your incredible generosity and support over there. I hope you know how much we appreciate you. Don't think words quite do enough to explain that, but yes, thank you. And while we're on a roll of thank yous, this might be a great opportunity to give a couple of shout outs to our sponsors, because again, we couldn't do it without the support of some of these awesome brands that we have the privilege of working with. So Highfield, you probably realise how important our tender is to us after we lost it. Oh my god! I don't think there could have been a better way for us to demonstrate how much that tender means to us. So thanks guys, honestly, you're bloody legends. Rockner for providing us with great night's sleeps. We know once we're set, we're not going anywhere, so thank you guys, absolute legends. Also a thank you to Ullman Sails in the Whitsundays. The reason we got a new mainsail back in Darwin was specifically for this coastline and beyond. It'd be safe to say that our old mainsail would be in absolute tatters after this coastline. We wouldn't have been able to beat to windward without it. Honestly, a lifesaver. Thanks guys. Adreno for helping us keep warm in these chillier waters. However, I do think it's time that we whip out the thicker wetsuits. Revolution Power Solutions for providing us with the juice to keep Nakama, our laptops and camera gear all up and running. Literally, we wouldn't be functioning without you. And I think last but not least, for the moment, is Darren the yacht rigger for being our on-call rigger and just an overall legend. And of course, Sailey for sponsoring this week's video. Don't forget guys that you can get 15% off using our link in the description below, or our code SLIMSOF at the checkout. But of course, our journey doesn't end here. The next time you see us, we'll be embarking on the next leg of our journey. We'll be heading around the corner and into the Southern Ocean. So we're really looking forward to catching you all then. Who doesn't love some good old sailing down south? So we'll see you then.